Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the newly updated Contents page group in the Timesavers 3 tab of the Timesavers add-in. So the Contents page group allows you to add a contents page for your presentation that will then be clickable so that people can easily navigate to and from the different sections in your resource. So before you start, you need to go and put in sections because the contents page is going to be created based on the sections that you have in your presentation. So I'm going to start off by adding my section. So I'm going to add a section over here. This is for the information. So I'm going to call this teacher information. And then over here I've got number bonds for 10 in color and so on. So I'm going to go and add the rest of those and then I'll come back. Okay, so I have added all of the sections to my presentation so that when my contents page is created, it will then point to all these different sections in the presentation. So now what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to go to my Timesavers 3 tab, to the contents page group, and I'm going to click on one of these buttons. I have the option to create a table form contents page or one that looks like buttons. So I'll show you both options. So I'm going to first do the table one, and you can see now it has created a contents page that if I hover over these, you can see that they are linked to the different slides in the presentation. So if I click on that one, it'll take me to the teacher information page. If I click on this one, it'll take me to number bonds for 10 and so on. So it has automatically created all of those links for you. It also has put in the page numbers, and those are also linked. Just so that you're aware, when it creates the table one, it's not actually table. It's actually just rectangles that have been put together to look like a table so that they can be clickable. They wouldn't be able to be clickable if it was a real table. Okay. Then you can also create, like I said, one that looks like buttons. So if I go over there and I click that, then it'll replace it with it'll replace the existing contents page with a new one. So if you want to recreate a contents page, you can just go and click on it again. It will delete the old contents page and create a new one. And in this case, I've created now one that has the buttons. So that is what that looks like. Okay, but I want to rather have the one that looks like a table. Now, you also have this over here. So in this case, I have got quite a few sections in my presentation, enough that it takes up more than one page. It is going over the page here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this multi-page one over here. And when I do that, it takes that contents and it turns it into a multi-page content. So you can go over here, you have the ones that didn't fit onto the page over here. Okay, that'll also work with the button one. So I can go over here and click on the buttons, and now because the multi-page is already selected, it has automatically created a multi-page version of the button contents page. But I want to use the table one. Okay, then over here you have got an update button. So this will allow you, if you go and add in any pages or anything, so I'm just going to add to my teacher information page. I'll add a couple more pages just so you can see what happens. So at the moment you can see that the teacher information is from pages 4 to 5 because that's what it was when I created the contents page. But now I've added more pages. So I'm going to go and click on the update button, and now you can see that that has changed from 4 to 5 is now 4 to 8 because I have added in those extra slides, and now the number bonds for 10 color is now starting on slide 9, and you can see that that is now directing to slide 9 over there. So you can update your contents page after you've created it. If you have had to go and make any changes to your presentation, you can easily update your contents page with the update button over there. You also have this format button over here. Now the format button allows you to quickly and easily format the contents page. So if you want to change the formatting over here because you may not want to use the font and so on that I've used, then you can easily do that. So if you want to just change this to, let's change it to anything like that, and I'm going to make it a bit bigger, and I'm going to make it red just so you can see what happens. So I have changed that. Now I can go and click on the format button, and as long as I have this selected, it will take the formatting of the one that I have selected and apply it to all of the same things in the contents page. So at the moment it is the name for each section that is selected, so all of those are going to be formatted the same. So I click on here, they all get formatted in the same way. Now you can see obviously this isn't fitting in so nicely because the names of those sections were a bit long, so I'm going to go and just make that a little bit smaller, and then I'll do it again and click format again, and now you can see that those are fitting in better, and it has also updated them on this screen as well. So the whole contents page does get affected when you do the formatting like that. I can also do the same thing for the page numbers. If I want to change that, I can make it slightly bigger, I can make it bold, whatever I want to do. It will take the formatting that I have used. I can also highlight it if I really wanted to, anything that I wanted to do, and then I can go and click on the format button, and it will apply that same formatting to all of the page numbers for all of the sections in the contents page, or in the contents pages rather. Okay, then over here we also have a couple of other options. You also can select or deselect the section page numbers. Before I do that though, you can also, once you've created a multi-page contents like this, you can also change it back to a single page if you want to, and the ones that were on the other pages will be put back with this. So if you decide that actually it's not really taking up enough space on the second page that it warrants a whole new page, then you can make it a single page one again and just change it so that it takes up less space. So you could take this and group it and then make it smaller like that or something, and then ungroup it again so that it all fits onto one page. So you can use the multi-page as you feel you need to. That's why I've made it optional, so you don't have to have the multi-page. If you only have one or two that are going onto the next screen, you might not want to use the multi-page. You might rather try and make it fit. Okay, so I'm just going to undo that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is okay, there we go. Now I'm going to go and show you the section page numbers option. So the section page numbers allows you to add page numbers to all of the slides in your presentation based on the section that they are in and their position in that section. Okay, so let me show you now. So if I click on this button over here, then you can see that this has appeared over there. So it now says page 1 of 2. Now the reason it says that is because in this section that the slide is in, there are 2 slides. So it is the first slide in its section, which contains 2 slides. If I look at this over here, you can see it. It's difficult to see because it's behind the border or on top of the border, but that one is saying page 1 of 5, and the reason that is saying page 1 of 5 is because there are now 5 slides in this section. Okay, so once you have put in your section numbers, like these ones aren't showing up nicely, they're in a bad position, you can then go and change the positioning of them. You can change the formatting as well in the same way that you can with these over here. So if you have moved this to how you want it, you can then go and change the size and the formatting as you would like. So I'm going to make that bold, make it a little bit more visible, and now so long as I have that selected, I can go back to this format button, and it will also work for the page numbers as well. So it works for the contents items and it also works for the page numbers. So if I have that selected and I click on the format button, you will see that now all of those page numbers on every single slide have moved to the same position as I moved this one, and they have also taken the same formatting. So before I did that, so let me undo. You can see over here, this is now back to how it was before, and if I redo, this is how it changed because of me using that formatting button. So the format button allows you to change the formatting quickly and easily of all of the contents items in one go. You can also select 2 like that if you want to. So if you have one of those and one of those selected, it will change the formatting of both types of contents items at the same time. And then you can also use it for the page numbers for the sections, like that as well. Okay, and like I said, you can move this around. So if you don't want it to be in the bottom left-hand corner, which is where it defaults to, you can move it to the middle, you can move it to the top, you can move it to wherever you want. And when you click on that format button, all of the page numbers on all the slides will be moved to that same position. Also, if you don't want to have page numbers on the slides in a particular section, you can just go and delete those page numbers. So if I decide I don't want to have the page numbers on the teacher information slides, I'll just go and delete those. And then when I format it, like this, if I go and now decide I want this in the middle and I want it to be there, then I can click on the format button and it will format all of them to be the same as that, but it won't make it reappear on these ones where I've deleted it. It will only format them on the slides where they already are. So that is how you use the section page numbers option over there. And then the final one that I haven't talked about yet is this return to contents. Now this return to contents is there for you to make it easy for users to quickly and easily get back to the contents page from anywhere in the document once you have flattened the presentation and saved it as a PDF. So it only works if you use the flattening method with this add-in. It doesn't work with any other add-in. It doesn't work with just saving it as a PDF or anything. You have to flatten it with this add-in in order for this to actually work. But all it does, if you select this, then this message will pop up over here saying that anytime you wish to return to this contents page, simply click anywhere on the background of the page you are on and you will be brought back here. So when you flatten the PDF, or when you flatten the presentation rather, then what happens is the backgrounds of every single slide will be linked back to the contents page. So if the user clicks on the background, it will take them directly back to the contents page again. So they don't have to scroll through to get back to the contents page every time. So that is why I've created that. But again, like I said, at the time that you click over here, the only thing it actually does is it puts that message over there. But it saves it so that you when you flatten the presentation, it will put those links in to direct the user back to the contents page anytime that they click on the background of any slide in the presentation. They'll jump back to the contents page again. Okay, so that is what that return to contents is about. Then the last thing I want to say is this contents page at the moment, when the contents page is added, it automatically gets added at the beginning of your presentation. And you'll see over here, when I started adding my sections, I added my first section before the teacher information. I didn't include my cover page in that first section, but you can see that there's a default section that started that contains the first page that was already there, which is the cover page. Okay, but if you look in the contents, there is no reference to that default section. So the contents page only holds references that start at the second section. So where I started with the teacher information, that is where your contents page is going to start. It won't direct them to the cover page. And then the contents page automatically gets put right in the beginning of your presentation. It'll be put before everything else. So in this case, it has been put before my cover page. You can obviously go and move that. So I will move it over there because I want it to be after the cover page. You can also put it after your terms of use or whatever else you might have that you might want to be in this first default section that you don't want the contents page to direct the user to. And then if you have moved things around that you need to, then you can obviously go and update again if you need to. In this case, it isn't making any difference because I didn't actually change any of the slides in the sections like that. Okay, so that is how you use the contents page section of the Time Savers add-in. I hope that will be helpful, and I hope that you have a fantastic day. Thank you. Goodbye.